Hey everyone, welcome back. Over the next several days, the United States is set to experience a prolonged period of intense winter weather, with multiple storms bringing heavy snow, ice, and severe thunderstorms to a vast portion of the country. A relatively calm weather pattern currently in place will soon be disrupted as a series of powerful low pressure systems, fueled by an influx of Pacific moisture and reinforced by cold Arctic air, sweep across the nation. These storms will affect regions ranging from the Great Plains to the Midwest, the Mid-Atlantic, and even parts of the Deep South, bringing widespread travel disruptions, power outages, and hazardous road conditions. The combination of heavy snowfall, freezing rain, and the risk of flash flooding in some areas will create a dynamic and potentially dangerous weather situation that will unfold in multiple waves over the coming days. At this moment, conditions remain mostly quiet across much of the country, with only a few areas experiencing light precipitation. However, this temporary calm will soon give way to active and severe weather as the first in a series of powerful winter storms begins to take shape. A developing system over the Central Plains is already showing signs of intensification, with a broad shield of precipitation expected to spread eastward overnight. This storm will bring the first round of accumulating snow to parts of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky before moving into the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic by early morning. While snowfall amounts from this initial wave may not be extreme, they will serve as a prelude to a much more impactful event that will follow closely behind. At the same time, areas farther south, including portions of Arkansas, Tennessee, and Mississippi, will begin to experience heavy rainfall, setting the stage for potential flash flooding concerns as precipitation continues to accumulate over already saturated ground. As this first system moves eastward, winter storm watches have already been issued for multiple states, including Kentucky, West Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey. These watches indicate the likelihood of significant snowfall accumulations, with some locations expected to receive over half a foot of snow by the time the storm exits. Additional watches have been posted for portions of the Central Plains, where snowfall totals of 4 to 8 inches are possible. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, these watches will likely be upgraded to winter storm warnings as confidence increases in the exact placement of the heaviest snow bands. The combination of heavy, wet snow and gusty winds will create hazardous conditions, particularly in areas where ice accumulation is expected. Parts of Virginia and North Carolina are at risk of significant icing, with freezing rain creating slick and dangerous roadways. By the middle of the week, a second, more powerful storm system will begin to develop over the central United States, bringing even more widespread impact. This storm will have access to a greater amount of Gulf moisture, increasing the potential for heavy snow, freezing rain, and even severe thunderstorms. As this system intensifies, an expansive swath of snowfall will spread from eastern Kansas and Missouri into Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, with snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour possible in the heaviest bands. Meanwhile, freezing rain will become a major concern across Oklahoma, northern Arkansas, and parts of southern Missouri, where ice accumulations of up to a quarter inch could lead to tree damage and power outages. As the system continues its eastward march, the Mid-Atlantic will once again be in the crosshairs of significant winter weather, with snow and ice impacting travel across major metropolitan areas, including Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City. By late Wednesday into Thursday, this storm will continue tracking northeast, bringing heavy snow to the interior Northeast and New England. Cities such as Boston, Albany, and Buffalo could see snowfall totals exceeding 8 inches, while areas farther south along the I-95 corridor may experience a messy mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain before transitioning to plain rain. This complex precipitation pattern will make forecasting snowfall totals challenging, but confidence is growing that significant accumulations will impact much of the Northeast. At the same time, severe thunderstorms will become a concern for the Deep South, where warm, moist air surging northward from the Gulf of Mexico will create an unstable atmosphere. Areas from eastern Texas to Georgia will be at risk for damaging winds, large hail, and even tornadoes as the system strengthens. The exact placement of the severe weather threat remains uncertain, but residents in these areas should stay alert for the possibility of strong storms later in the week. As the storm system moves offshore, colder air will wrap around its backside, leading to lingering snow showers across parts of the Great Lakes and Northeast through the end of the week. However, any brief respite from the winter weather will be short-lived, as yet another major storm system is expected to develop by the weekend. This next storm will once again tap into deep Pacific and Gulf moisture, setting the stage for widespread snowfall, freezing rain, and severe weather across many of the same areas already impacted by the previous storms. By Friday night into Saturday, heavy snow will once again break out across the Midwest and Great Lakes, while freezing rain poses additional concerns for the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic. The risk of severe thunderstorms will also return to the deep Souths, with potential tornado outbreaks possible in parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. As we move into Sunday, snow will continue across the Northeast, with the heaviest accumulations likely in upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Depending on how quickly the storm system moves, parts of the Mid-Atlantic may see a brief transition to snow before precipitation tapers off. Gusty winds on the backside of the system will create areas of blowing and drifting snow, reducing visibility and making travel difficult in affected regions. While the worst of the storm will begin to move out by late Sunday night, lingering snow showers and gusty winds will persist into Monday, creating additional travel headaches for the start of the new work week. Snowfall and ice accumulations will vary significantly depending on the track and intensity of each storm system. In the Mid-Atlantic, snowfall totals of 2 to 4 inches will be common, with higher amounts of 4 to 8 inches possible in northern Kentucky, West Virginia, Northern Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware. Some isolated locations, particularly in higher elevations, could see as much as 10 inches. In New Jersey, snowfall accumulations of 3 to 6 inches are expected, with the highest amounts occurring in the southern part of the state. Ice accumulation will be a major concern for central and western Virginia, as well as parts of West Virginia, where some areas could receive up to a quarter inch of ice. In the Central Plains, snowfall amounts will generally range between 4 to 8 inches across Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri, with some localized areas seeing higher totals. The Midwest and Great Lakes will also experience significant snowfall, with parts of Michigan likely to receive over 6 inches. Meanwhile, heavy rainfall across the South will lead to significant flooding concerns, with widespread totals of 4 to 8 inches expected across Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. Other areas, including Louisiana, Arkansas, and portions of the Mid-Atlantic, could see 2 to 4 inches of rain, elevating the risk of flash flooding in low-lying areas. Now, the storm had a thin corridor across Wisconsin where snow totals were decent, but it got even lighter in the northern parts of Michigan. Cadillac, Michigan saw about 7 inches of snow. However, the big surprise was in the Northeast. It looks like the heavier snow totals ended up a little farther north than expected. We saw a total of 14 inches in Ballston Spa, New York, and Portland received about a foot of snow. Additionally, there were several places in Vermont and New Hampshire where totals exceeded 8 inches. As for Boston, there were reports of 5 to 6 inches. And as I'm filming this video, it's still snowing. So by the time the storm wraps up, I expect we'll see totals in the 6 to 8 inch range, which aligns perfectly with the forecast we made. But the New York City metro area saw 3 to 4 inches, though the snow was quickly melted by the warmer air that followed. In contrast, the areas in western Massachusetts and parts of Connecticut didn't get as much snow as expected. A lot of places in these regions only saw about 3 to 4 inches, which is much less than what we were originally forecasting. So if you're in those areas, it looks like you were among the ones that didn't quite get as much snow from this storm. All right, so with storm number 1 now out of the way, let's talk about the next storm that's coming our way. Looking ahead, storm number 2 is going to start coming together over the next couple of days, with things really kicking off by Tuesday, February 11th. We've already got a slight risk for significant winter weather stretching from places like West Virginia and Virginia to Maryland, New Jersey, and even parts of Kansas. Let me walk you through how this will unfold. On the morning of Tuesday, February 11th, we're going to see wintry precipitation rapidly expanding across the region, with snow starting to fall in Kansas, Denver, and St. Louis. Now, this isn't going to be a huge, intense blizzard, but we will be looking at light snow for many areas. At the same time, we'll be dealing with wintry precipitation extending from Missouri all the way into the mountains of North Carolina and Virginia. The big concern here is that we might see a significant ice storm in southwestern Virginia. By the time we get into Tuesday afternoon, there's a possibility for a quarter inch or more of ice to accumulate in higher elevations. This could lead to some major travel problems, and power outages are definitely a concern in that area. Meanwhile, as the storm continues to move east, heavier snow will be setting up along the I-64 corridor, impacting parts of West Virginia and northern Virginia. Further south, we'll have heavy rain and thunderstorms, with places like Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi bracing for some of the heaviest precipitation. As we get into early Wednesday morning, snow will be pushing into the D.C. and Baltimore areas, as well as parts of Delaware. By the time the storm moves out, we'll be left with just some lingering snow in these areas. But even before this storm completely exits, there's already another storm beginning to form back in the plains. Now, let's talk about snow totals for the storm over the next couple of days. Kansas will likely see around 1 to 3 inches of snow, and some areas in Nebraska might see more, potentially getting over 3 inches before it's all said and done. For many places in Missouri, especially St. Louis, I don't expect much accumulation, maybe just a light dusting at most. The same goes for cities like Lexington, Cincinnati, and Louisville, where only about an inch or so is expected. On the other hand, the snow totals should be a bit more impressive in the Mid-Atlantic region. In Northern Virginia and Washington, D.C., you can expect 2 to 4 inches, and areas like Toms River, New Jersey, will likely get the same. While this storm looked like it could be more significant just a few days ago, it's shaping up to be a quick-hitting snowfall event rather than a long-duration storm. But there's still one major thing to be concerned about: ice. Particularly in the mountains of southwestern Virginia, we could see significant ice accumulation, with some areas picking up over a quarter-inch of ice. This could make travel very dangerous and could lead to power outages, so it's important to keep that in mind as we move through the storm. Now, moving on to storm number 3, which in my opinion is going to be the most impactful of this entire series. Right now, there's about a 40 chance that we'll see a major winter storm from eastern Kansas all the way up through Missouri, Illinois, Chicago, Detroit, and parts of southern Ontario. This storm is expected to unfold around February 13th through the 14th, so let me show you what that might look like. As the current storm exits, this next much larger storm will start forming over the plains. This one has the potential to be a classic mid-latitude cyclone that will deepen very quickly as it moves eastward across the United States. What does that mean? It means that anyone on the cold side of the storm is going to experience heavy snow, sleet, or ice, while those on the warm side will be dealing with heavy rain and potentially some severe thunderstorms. It looks like Chicago will be in line for some heavy snow from this one, but cities like Indianapolis, Detroit, and Cleveland are also in the mix. The concern with this storm, though, is that it's going to be close enough to the center of the low pressure that some of these areas could see a mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain. St. Louis is also in a similar situation where warmer air might lead to more sleet and ice than snow. As the storm moves further north, it's looking less likely to bring much snow to the northeast. Instead, this is shaping up to be a classic Midwest and Great Lakes snowstorm. But even as this storm exits, we're already seeing signs of another system forming along the West Coast. This one is bringing yet another atmospheric river to California, which means a lot of snow in the Sierra Nevada mountains. As we move into February 13th and 14th, we'll also see significant snowfall across the Rockies, and this will eventually merge with Gulf moisture to form another storm for the East Coast. Looking ahead further, by February 15th through the 16th, there's about a 20 chance of a winter storm impacting areas in the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast. So as you can see, we've got quite a few storms on the way, and this winter weather pattern isn't going to slow down anytime soon. Just to give you an idea of the snow totals we could be looking at over the next 200 hours, this is the national blend of models showing the possible snowfall across the country. Now, keep in mind, this is just an estimate, and it's not going to all fall at once. But if you're in the blues, purples, and pinks on this map, you can expect significant snow. In Chicago, for example, there's the potential for well over a foot of snow when you combine multiple storms. The heaviest snow will likely be focused in the Midwest, Great Lakes, and the mountainous regions out west, where some areas could see up to 80 inches of snow over the next week. But snow isn't the only thing we need to keep an eye on. The warmer side of these storms will bring heavy rain and even severe weather to parts of the country. We're still too early to pinpoint the exact severe weather threats, but places like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee should prepare for heavy rainfall and possibly severe storms. If you live in a flood-prone area, now is the time to get ready. We could see 8 to 10 inches of rain in some spots, which could lead to flash flooding and even river flooding, especially in areas with a lot of hills and valleys. That's all for today's update. Things are definitely heating up out there, and I'll be back with another update tomorrow. I'm also considering going live for the big storm that's set to hit the Midwest and Great Lakes, so make sure you have those notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any live coverage. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you all soon with the next update.